On the phone tonight, talks are ongoing to try to get a trade deal between the UK and the EU. It's understood this will be a general update between Boris Johnson and Ursula von der Leyen, and it isn't to discuss any particular breakthrough. That's it for now. More in an hour.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to the AA. For peace of mind, we provide cover for your valuables outside of the home once they're specified on your home policy. Go online to the aa.ie.
Cloudy and dull tomorrow with persistent rain during the morning, then turning more showery for the afternoon. Fresh and gusty southerly winds and highest temperatures of 12 to 13 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
The Newsround on Off the Ball.
With Gillette, we don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters.
This is News Talk.
All right, you're welcome along. It's Thursdays Off the Ball. Nathan with you until 10 o'clock. I don't know if you've heard, but there is a famine that could do with coming to an end. We are less than 48 hours away from the All-Ireland football final, Dublin against Mayo. We got some brilliant preview and analysis coming your way over the next couple of nights. Tomorrow night, it's Mayo with Stephen Rochford and Barry Moran. Tonight, it's two men who have inflicted plenty of pain upon Mayo over the years. Bernard Brogan and Paul Flynn have been talking to Joe, and we're going to bring you that. It is the latest in our Super Value Roadshows coming your way after 8 o'clock. It's been a busy week in the Premier League, and it continues with two matches tonight. Manchester United, Sheffield United coming away at 8 o'clock. It's scoreless between Aston Villa and Burnley. We had Liverpool Spurs, more than living up to the hype last night. We'll discuss that with John Giles from 7:30. Vinnie Perth's going to be with us on the football show as well. 53106, the text number at Off the Ball if you want to get in touch. Joe Molloy, good evening.
Nathan Murphy, that is a fine jumper you're wearing. Can I say
thank
hello?
you very much. Jesus and Santa together at last. Are you dressed up tonight?
No, apologies. I'm
Joe.
decidedly underdressed. I dressed up earlier in the week. I'll be dressing up tomorrow, obviously, for a very good cause. But you're stealing the show tonight, my man.
I've tried my best. Richie, we're 4 days in. We got at a little bit of tinsel even around the neck.
Sadly not. It's very much the Grinch's palace up here today.
God, Richie, come on. Give us something. Can you send a WhatsApp there and get a little bit of tinsel? Get a decoration off the tree and, wear it as an earring or something. Anything at all, Richie.
Anything.
We'll see.
This day next week is Christmas Eve. Come on. Now's the time. The reason we're doing this, I haven't just rocked up, though I probably should just rock up wearing this around Christmas time.
You just do this anyway.
I got this jumper
as soon
about...
as it gets to December 1st, that's you in the office, and it becomes tiresome after a while. I'm glad this year there's a reason for you to actually come in looking like that.
Well, this was, I think, the most stereotypical purchase of all time when it comes to a Christmas jumper. About 6 years ago, I was sat outside Peter's pub having a couple of pre-Christmas drinks that escalated rapidly, and there was a pop-up Christmas shop right next door, and sure enough, 30 quid was disposed of, and here we are. Though I'm still quite proud of it. It is a beautiful jumper.
Back.
It is a beautiful jumper. The reason we're doing this, of course, as you'll be well aware at this stage, we're dressing up in support of the Irish Cancer Society, and tomorrow we're asking you to wear to care, throw on a Christmas jumper, and most importantly, you got to donate as well. The Irish Cancer Society has had almost all of their fundraising campaigns cancelled due to COVID, so all donations appreciated. Search for Wear for Care on justgiving.com and you'll find some links to donate. You can also get involved via text to donate €4 today. Text WEAR, that is WEAR, to 5300. That is WEAR to 5300. Text costs €4 and the Irish Cancer Society will receive a minimum of €3.60 from that. And keep an eye on all our social channels tomorrow as well, because we will have lots around all of that. You keeping well, Joe?
Great. I am great. I'm great. It's nice. I think there isn't there a collective sense of just get to next week and then we're into a nice happy place. I think everyone's in that zone a little bit, aren't they?
Well, I am hoping, Joe, that this time, 48 hours from now, I'm going to be in a very happy place that will continue long past Christmas and long into the new year.
Well, indeed. What are the confidence levels like? Give us is it cautious optimism? Is it outright? Have you convinced yourself, actually, the more I think about this, there's actually no reason Mayo can't win handsomely? Where are you?
Well, I started the week with, we're very much in bonus territory here. I think I certainly felt Newbridge or nowhere was sort of the end of the natural cycle for that Mayo team. So even getting to a semi-final, been 2 points up in a semi-final last year, was a real treat and a bonus and another day out. And yet somehow here they are again under James Horan. Yet still I'm looking at this Dublin team and almost feel like they're underappreciated. So a bit of a shot to nothing. But then I just started talking there about 5 minutes ago. And magically, I believed. I thought, actually, why not? Why not? Of all the terrible things that have happened this year, why can we not just have something nice at the end of it? Apologies, of course, to all our Dublin listeners, as always. This is our one evening. This is where you get really angry. Things will be fine tomorrow. And we've got Paul Flynn and Bernard Brogan coming up after 8 o'clock as well, just for a little bit of balance. A little bit. Not too much.
Yeah. The theme, so we recorded this Super Value Roadshow last night, and as you said, the Dublin lads are tonight, Rochford and Barrymore are tomorrow. The theme across all four, and Valerie Mulcahy was previewing the game as well with Ryan McHugh, when they were making the case for Mayo at any stage, was the word chaos. They all seem to use the word chaos. So Mayo need to cause chaos. It needs to be hand-to-hand combat. It needs to be all the physicality they can throw at Dublin. And, James Horan did talk about risk-reward during this week and going for it. And history suggests that's not just him trying to rope-a-dope them. Mayo will go for it. The question is, do we get more of the first half of last year's semi-final when they tackled brilliantly, when they kept the ball, I thought, brilliantly as well? That part of the game maybe a bit under-discussed afterwards. Mayo decided, well, if we have it, you can't hurt us. So they just hogged possession at times. Will we get more of that? Or will we get the 12 minutes where Conor Callaghan turned into a machine and it was devastating? And I still don't know why no Mayo player went down injured or started a scrap or did something to interrupt Dublin's flow. But anyway, that aside, where Dublin just felt a little bit unstoppable. You want to look. I've Mayo connections as well. I'll be watching it with two Mayo parents in the living room. So the heart says, one thing. Really, it feels like 4, 5, 6 point territory, Dublin.
Yeah, there hasn't been probably enough analysis of the semi-final. An awful lot has gone back to 2016 and 2017 and that chaos and the sort of shock and awe that Mayo brought to that game. And they're two of the greatest All-Ireland finals, three of the greatest All-Ireland finals between the 2 years. In terms of the physical intensity that both sides brought, Mayo, that 2016 Mayo team was arguably Mayo at their absolute peak when you're looking at that half-back line of Lee Keegan, Colin Boyle, Paddy Durkin. Just the running power that they had, and also they could match them man for man. Do they have that now? You feel, much like last week with the hurling, Mayo need goals. They clearly have them. Cillian O'Connor's in the form of his life, which is one of the big changes maybe even from the semi-final last year. And they probably need to get at them good and early because Dublin haven't been tested in any way. Now, they have their training games, which are, we'll always say, is the only test that they need. Yeah. But if Mayo can somehow go, get the goals, and put a little bit of doubt there, ask a few questions, and Mayo, since football has restarted, remember, when football was restarting, I don't think Mayo supporters were particularly looking forward to it, facing relegation from Division 1, a first game out against Galway. And they absolutely destroyed Galway in that league game and have kept racking up those big scores. So they know that they can actually score enough. Was it Andy Moore always says you need 20 points at least. They know they're going in on Saturday needing that, but knowing that actually they can score it.
I think Dublin are now so good, it's probably 22, 23 points territory. They're just more efficient and more deadly than ever. You've hit on about 10 really interesting talking points there. And even, last night, loads of talking points emerged. Like Ryan McHugh, as a neutral in all this, he's very worried about Mayo in midfield. He doesn't see them having answers in midfield, especially if Dublin press the Mayo kick out in a big way and Mayo have to go long. Then he gets very worried for Mayo. Then he can see Mayo really struggling to get out of their own half, and for those reasons and others, he was strongly going for Dublin, as most people are. The other interesting thing, when you say Dublin are untested, obviously we know what you mean in the context of this season. They're pretty well tested generally, except, and I say this while still thinking Dublin will win, Dessie Farrell's not going to sleep very well tomorrow night. He just isn't, because mad things happen in these games. Injuries happen, sending offs happen, GPSs go flying, all sorts. Two own goals.
Why did you start saying it, Joe?
two own goals. But James Horan at least knows what this is all about. Whereas Dessie Farrell, for the first time this season, is most likely, and could be serious egg in the face if Dublin are up by 7 points after 20 minutes. But Dessie Farrell will most likely, for the first time this season, find himself in the white heat of championship final with some decisions to make, with some fires to put out, with some issues to decide upon, with maybe a halftime team talk. Like they were 2 points down last year with halftime team talk to strike the right tone. So
And looking across the touchline at a manager who has been there many, many times before.
Sure. So there are Dublin in the most in general pros cons list and matchups. Dublin have the edge, but you would have to say on the sideline, Mayo have experience. That has to count for something, you would think.
The only guarantee I'm going to make, Richie, and you've sat there in silence, shaking your head, judging. Let the lads have their night. Let the lads have their night. The only thing I'm going to say is this: if it goes to penalties and Mayo lose an All-Ireland final on penalties,
we're done.
I'm out. That is it.
Yeah.
We're done. Withdrawal from the championship.
I think getting to penalties would probably better your best ever present from Santi in terms of Christmas achievements, because Mayo aren't getting there, to be honest. And to be honest with you, I admire the hope that comes from both of you. I admire the sense that Dessie Farrell might be in any way panicked by what could face him on Saturday evening in the form of Mayo. Dessie Farrell doesn't get panicked as far as I can see. That man has had the same tone of voice since 1993 that I can remember. The Dubliners is too good.
Do you not see it, Rich, at all? No.
No. For whatever case you can make towards Mayo, you can just see Dublin out muscling them pretty much in every area that matters, at least in the pitch. Yeah. The one thing that struck me in terms of when you're talking about composure and you're talking about dragging it down and making it a bit of a fight and making it physical, my head keeps going back to 96 because, and again, without wanting to drag up too many bad memories for Nathan there.
Yeah. No, cheating as well we lost out to.
We didn't. You just weren't as good in the fight as Meath were. And is there something to be said? We don't want to, you have to always say these things when you're a broadcaster. We hate to see this kind of thing on a pitch and yada, yada, yada. But is there a sense that you've dragged Dublin down into a dogfight? Because I'm trying to think of the last time that this Dublin side were rattled to the degree that there was a pretty big schmoz on the pitch. This Dublin side, we would have talked about it in terms of Dublin sides of yore, maybe isolated incidents involving Diarmuid Connolly might have gone down throughout the past few years. But this unit that we have here that are going to line out on Saturday, when was the last time they were actually asked major questions in terms of their attitude towards a game? I think if Mayo can rattle a few cages early doors, the same way, to be honest with you, Meath did in 96 against Mayo, I think questions could be asked of Dublin from that point on. If you get them rattled, you never know, because they're so composed throughout every inch of this championship and have been for the last 8, 9, 10 years. Get them a bit rattled, see what happens then.
Far be it from me to, jump in here and talk down any hope. But I mean, in answer to your question, I suppose you would have to say the last time we saw them, quote unquote, rattled, and, different interpretations of what that means, but was in the drawn semi-final against Kerry. And that is arguably, those last 10 minutes against Kerry last year in the drawn final, that is arguably their finest hour. It was phenomenal. So, geez, beyond what Kerry did there, and look at the reaction of Dublin, how do you rattle them?
Yeah, and that followed on from a semi-final where they'd had a 15-minute spell against Mayo, which was as good a spell of attacking football as any team has ever produced. We're getting a lot of texts in on this, lads. When was the last time a real underdog won the All-Ireland? I can't remember, and I'm 50, says P in Cork. Well, obviously Cork in 2010, but they weren't underdogs going into the final.
Down in 91?
Yeah. Armagh against Kerry in 02?
Yeah.
Would Armagh been massive underdogs? I know now we look at them as such a...
I don't think so. I think that Armagh team was really well thought of at the time.
If you're talking at the start of the season, then you'd say Cork 10, yeah.
Patrick was watching earlier on today, so we streamed the Bernard Brogan and Paul Flynn show a little bit earlier. It's coming on the radio at 8, but you can watch it on our social channels now as well. Recency bias much with both Flynn and Brogan crowning Fenton as the best to ever play the game. Not convinced, said Patrick.
It was funny how that came about. So I was just curious to ask them, because we started off talking about McCaffrey, as people will hear, they had interesting thoughts on McCaffrey. But I said, so in his absence, I said, I won't push you for one name. Give me the two most influential players, in your view, in the Dublin camp. And so, I used the word influential so they could talk on the pitch and just generally around the place. And they gave the answers, which you'll hear. And then Paul Flynn said, but can I just say, I think Brian Fenton is the best Gaelic footballer of all time. And explained his reasons why, and you'll hear later on. And then I said, geez, Bernard, that's high praise. And Bernard said, yeah, look, apologies to Jack O'Shea and some other luminaries, but I also think Brian Fenton is the greatest Gaelic footballer of all time, certainly that they've ever seen. So, I mean, recency bias, sure, but the two lads are, they're no fools, and they are like, geez, both of them, and not least Bernard. They know their GAA history. They've seen the videotapes, and they said straight up, look, Fenton's the greatest footballer we're ever going to see, or we have seen thus far, certainly.
Yeah. Listen, and these are the conversations that are going to dominate next week and into Christmas and New Year if Dublin go and win 6 in a row. And they were making that point as well of, like, where do Mayo attack? So if somehow you could keep Fenton quiet, even if you were to keep Fenton, Con and Kilkenny quiet, the three of them.
That's all.
Like,
That's all.
Think back to last year's semi-final and Paul Mannion and the points he kicked.
He can't get a game.
And right. And he can't even get a game at the moment.
Like,
why are we
James
talking
McCarthy,
ourselves out of it? I prefer the first 5 minutes where actually everything was possible.
James McCarthy has a stormer against Mayo almost every time as well. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Cillian O'Connor's never been in better form. Aidan O'Shea's in the best physical condition of his life. Lockdown has suited him well.
Yeah. First 15 minutes, I mean, Jesus, if, look, I'll say this, and I know we have to move on. If we're watching this game, you're in Croker, are you, Nathan? You're going in?
Yeah, listen, I've worked hard all year. I've been on the beat. I've been up and down the country.
Right.
So, yeah, of course I'll be there.
Who makes these decisions again?
Come on. Yeah. Well, I'm choosing to watch the pain once again on my father's face. That's my choice. But, like, geez, if 15 minutes in, Dublin are 4 points up, and you just know they'll coast home and probably nick a goal and extend it out. Ugh. Please don't give us that. Please don't give us that.
Yeah, I don't know what it will be like if Mayo lose again, because generally we're very good in Mayo of, people use the term heartbreak, of enjoying the journey and enjoying the weekend and the memories and the coming together of the community. Whereas that's not here this time. It's just going to be a bleak realisation of, another one.
It's Christmas,
gone.
though. I mean, you segue into Christmas,
okay.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, Christmas, because it's just the most joyous Christmas we've ever had, Joe. 53106 is the text number. The news round and off the ball on News Talk is with thanks to Gillette. We don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters. Richie, where are you going to start?
Yeah. I'm going to start by reading Bert Jansch's version of In the Bleak Midwinter for all Mayo fans over the course of the next 3 minutes. No, Robbie Brady started for Burnley this evening in their Premier League game. Away to Aston Villa, Kevin Long on the bench for them, Conor Heron on the bench for Villa tonight. Still scoreless, just past the hour mark there. At 8, bottom side Sheffield United welcome Manchester United to Bramall Lane. Dean Henderson for United starts against the side for whom he spent a couple of seasons on loan. Edinson Cavani misses tonight's game through injury, and he could be set to miss even more games. The Uruguayan has been charged with misconduct by the FA over the use of a racial term on social media. The United striker has already apologised for that post, and he blamed a misinterpretation for the offence, saying it was intended to be an affectionate greeting for a friend. Bad news from Leeside tonight for Cork City. A proposed takeover of the club is now off. Grovemore, a company controlled by the Preston North End owner Trevor Hemmings, will not be taking up their option to buy the club. They've been unable to come to terms with the Munster Football Association on the sale or indeed the long-term lease of the Turner's Cross ground. The ground is owned by the Munster Football Association and not Cork City. Cork's Forest Supporters Trust have applied for a licence to compete in next year's SSE Electricity First Division, pretty much as a failsafe.
So, scoreless in the Villa match. We'll obviously be keeping a close eye as well on what goes on in that Manchester United game. It's here. Sheffield United have 1 point all season. It is unquestionably a must-win for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and particularly with that Leeds game coming up at Old Trafford at the weekend. We'll have that live and off the ball on Sunday. And Leeds last night, just how impressive they were. 5 goals, absolutely demolished Newcastle. This has banana skin written all over it this week for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Yeah, it sure does. It's rare you see, I mean, they scored the 4th goal in the final couple of minutes as a breakaway. It's rare you see like 6 players in the box in a breakaway move like that. Like, I keep hearing Leeds are tired, and yet 6 of them ran the length of the pitch. 1 Newcastle player got back.
And he hadn't made any changes from the last game.
Okay. So, yeah, look, banana skin. I thought Gary Neville at the weekend, I know he's on Roy Keane, summed it up very, very well of United when, Micah Richards asked him, is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the man to take them forward? And Roy kind of gave I don't know, they have to win a trophy, which is just a nothing answer really, because they can win the Carabao Cup and it means jot. But Neville said they're either winning games on the counter-attack or else they're having just moments, for me to really kind of feel good about where United are going, they have to start dominating games. And really, you would have to say, under Solskjaer, have United dominated 2 games on the bounce? Don't think so. So I thought that was a good point. Counter-attack, magic moments, great, but actually, has it really developed since then? And you'd have to say not massively. So
Matic, Pogba, Fernandes, Martial, Greenwood and Rashford. He's gone pretty much all-out attack, because Damien Delaney was making the point earlier that part of their problem is that the centre halves are so poor that they need to be babysat constantly by playing 2 number 6s because they just can't be trusted. But actually tonight he's just gone with Matic, he's going with Pogba, even though Pogba's wearing the number 6. He's not your traditional sit back and hold. So actually it looks as though this is the sort of game United should dominate possession-wise.
Hasn't left himself much road if that doesn't work, though, does he? You know, if he's put out all his attacking players, I know certain ones have come off the bench and gotten him out of jail over the past while, but I've an inkling, and this could blow up my face, similar to your Mayo hopes on Saturday evening. I'm feeling Sheffield United could dig in and actually try and get something out of this game tonight. A point for them would be absolutely massive considering their circumstance. They've shown nothing so far this season to suggest they can go and beat a side like Manchester United, but I think they can make tonight very frustrating for United. And if they do, where do United go from that starting 11 that they've named tonight?
Some news from WADA.
Yeah, the Court of Arbitration for Sport has halved Russia's international ban. Last year, WADA recommended a 4-year suspension following breaches of its anti-doping code by RUSADA. CAS cut that down today by 2 years. The Russian name, flag and anthem will be missing from next year's Tokyo Olympics and the 2022 Winter Games in China. Pardon me. Russia has also been banned from the World Cup in Qatar. Should they qualify, athletes, though, will be able to compete as neutrals. We could be seeing the return of something like the Commonwealth of Independent States.
All right, we've John Giles coming up in just a couple of minutes' time. You want to run through a couple of more stories?
Yeah, the Premier League are going to apply to introduce concussion subs in the new year after football's lawmakers IFAB agreed to trial the idea yesterday. Under the proposal, top-flight sides could make 2 additional changes per game for head injuries. Clubs, though, have voted against allowing up to 5 substitutions once again. This is the 3rd time now, but sides can name 9 subs on their benches instead of just 7. And the number of players taking legal action against rugby authorities for alleged negligence is growing. World Rugby, the English RFU and the WRU in Wales have confirmed they've received a letter from a law firm representing 9 retired players. Those players are alleging rugby bosses failed to protect them from the risk of concussion-related injuries. Last week, England's 42-year-old World Cup winner Steve Thompson revealed that he'd been diagnosed with early onset dementia at the age of 42.
Harry Smith from Louth has been in touch. Dublin have never won an All-Ireland senior football title in a year ending in 0. That is what we want to hear, Harry.
No, nobody had won a 5 in a row until last year. I think all records are irrelevant, aren't they, with this Dublin team?
I don't know, Joe.
They're not going to get intimidated by the calendar if they're not going to get intimidated by Killian O'Connor, Aidan O'Shea. You know?
I hope no Dublin players listening, say all the Dublin fans right now.
As if it wasn't going to be bad enough tomorrow night, not able to get to sleep for Desi Farrell. Now he's got this on his shoulders as well. And they're losing a run of themselves. When they're talking about having the greatest footballers of all time, Joe, maybe they're just going to take Mayo for granted.
It's funny, you know, because Martin McHugh was on the Super Value Roadshow for the semi-finals, and he said, lads, I think very soon that we'll be saying the greatest footballer of all time is Con O'Callaghan. So, look, is it Fenton? Is it Con? I don't know. It's one of them.
Maybe it's Aidan O'Shea. Maybe it's Aidan O'Shea.
The correct answer is Trevor Giles.
Prediction, Joe?
Oh, look, sadly, I think Dublin by 6.
Richie.
Hope I'm wrong.
Dublin by 8, and that's me being at my most conservative.
Nathan, give us a prediction and don't give us the heart. Genuinely, you put on your journalist hat there. Go on, what do you think? Honestly.
Dublin by 7 or 8.
Yeah, okay.
Unfortunately. But
good. I just didn't want to be in the montage on Monday on my own in case Mayo do win. So.
But hey, something magical could happen.
Hey, good. It's Christmas.
The head says that, but this All-Ireland is going to be won by the heart of Mayo people, Joe. That's all that matters. Turning myself around again. All right.
In the words of Hans Gruber in Die Hard, it's Christmas, Theo. It's the time of miracles.
Exactly. On that note.
That's
Richie,
going in the montage.
Joe, thank you very much. John Giles is up next.
The Newsround
on Off the Ball.
With Gillette, we don't just play the game, we change it. Gillette, made of what matters.